I spent my youth dropping coins in a wishing well. In hopes one day that I would find a story to tell. I wear regrets of soulless empty life.
Hi everyone, this is Jessica of Into the Warren. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing some yarn dyeing. Now I don't have my acid dyes in yet, but I thought I would take a couple skeins of this bare yarn and do some dyeing with Kool-Aid and food coloring. So I'm starting off with 2 pre-soaked skeins of 100% superwash merino DK weight yarn. This yarn has been soaking in water and 2 teaspoons of vinegar for about an hour and a half or so. So these are ready to be dyed. And if you saw the introduction of my video, you saw my little town. Our town is called the Seaplane City because we have seaplanes and we have a seaplane little airport, seaport, I guess. And I'm inspired by my town today and I want to dye some yarn called Seaplane City. And there's a lot of blues involved with our town's logo and, you know, the signage and things like that. But I also want to add a little bit of other coloring just because the sunrises and the sunsets here in this town are so beautiful and colorful with oranges and reds. So basically we're going to be experimenting and trying to make a Seaplane City colorway. So to start out, I have 16 cups of water. I haven't turned the heat on yet. I'm also not going to be adding any acid into this pot because the Kool-Aid has citric acid already. So we don't have to worry about that. This is going to be kind of a 2-step process. Step 1, I'm going to be dip dyeing the yarn into this pot. And then once it cools off, I will be doing some speckling and hand painting on some saran wrap and putting it in the microwave. So it's going to be a little bit of a process, but I hope that it will turn out great. And please forgive my nails. The gel's almost gone. Let us start. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add 2 packets of the Kool-Aid Tropical Punch into the pot. Ooh, it's red. Ooh, I did not expect that. Uh-oh. Okay. I thought it would be blue. All right, this is take 2 because I thought Tropical Punch was blue, false advertising. So we're going to actually start out with blue food coloring because I don't have any blue Kool-Aid. So for that, I am going to have to add some white vinegar. So let me do that real quick. 1, 2, we'll do 3. It's a superwash, so it should absorb pretty fast, but it's all experimentation. And I have these blue gel food colorings, but I kind of want to measure if I can open it. My hands are all slippery. Now there is a slight red tint into the pot. I don't know if you can tell, but it's just from taking out the tropical fruit punch. And gloves are pretty much scarce. I mean, I couldn't find any, so we're gonna live dangerously and not use gloves today. Okay. This is a 1/2 tablespoon. I am going to put, I want it pretty blue. I'm gonna see if a 1/2 tablespoon would be a good, I'm going to use the end of this to kind of scoop out the rest. This is all like a learning experience for me. Like, I'm not a pro by any means. So if I look really stupid doing this, just laugh with me. I think that's pretty good. All right, I'm going to turn the heat on. Oh, I think this will help the gel kind of dissipate into the water a little bit better. I have this spatula. Just gonna give it a stir. So like I said, I think I'm going to dip dye the yarn in here, giving it kind of a gradient from dark to light. Well, that's the goal, because I want it to have some depth to it. I don't mind having white space because our Seaplane City signs and flags and stuff like that are all blue and white. But I also do want to add some color. I think I'm going to do some colored speckles on saran wrap after this. Once it cools off, I'll just bring it to the table to work on. But like I said, this is all just experimentation. I don't know how successful I'm going to be. So I'm just hoping at least I don't felt the yarn and it's not brown by the end. I mean, even brown's okay, but I don't want it to be a muddy mess. So let me warm this up and I will be right back. Okay, we are now bubbling in here, so I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. This burner is like extra hot than the other ones. And I'm going to start dip dyeing my yarn. Now I've tied some acrylic yarn to the ends. So here we go. I'm kind of going slow because I don't see much of a gradient yet. Maybe a little. If you hear sounds, it's my dog. He's looking at me like, what are you doing? I don't know, guys. I'm trying to soak up some of that dye before I lay it flat in the dye bath because I want there to be a gradient, and I'm afraid if I stick all of the yarn in there now that it'll all kind of be similar in depth. So that's why I'm hesitating and taking a little bit longer. I did add extra vinegar a little bit just to see if it would strike faster, and I did increase the heat a bit. But I want the ends to just be a hint of white. You know, I don't want them to be completely blue. So we're just swirling. I'll be right back once I feel like it's good to be put in the pot. Okay, so as you can see, I have put the yarn all the way in the pot. I think it's actually a little bit of a greener blue than what you see on camera, but I think I do have some sort of gradient going on. And I'm going to let without tangling it all together. I'm not a good videographer, I'm very sorry. This is kind of new for me to do something like this. But I'm going to let this sit in the pot. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a tad and set the timer for about 20 minutes and check back and see if the water is clear or if it needs to sit a little bit longer. And then we're gonna let it cool in the pot and go to step 2. Okay, as you can see, the yarn is hot. and I'm going to see if there is any color left in the water. So it looks pretty clear to me. Looks like there isn't any color left in the water. So I have the heat off, and I am going to let this sit for probably like 20 minutes and then let it cool off, and we'll go from there. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes. I am going to attempt to take this out and put it on a plate to cool. Okay, so I took the yarn out of the pot and I put it on this plate, and it's pretty clear that there is a gradient. Now again, this camera is showing it as a lot more blue than it really is, probably from the light coming from the stove, but it's more of like a greenish blue with, I don't know, it's a little more green in coloring. But I'm gonna let this cool, and then I will get on to the part 2. Okay, for the next step, I have the yarn cooled off, sitting laid out as wide as I could make it. I'm testing the yellow, so I want to add some yellow splotches, and then I want to add some red and purple specks. So I think the first thing I need to do is grab a dry spoon. So I'm going to use a spoon to speckle, I think. If it doesn't look great, I'll use my hands, but I think I saw someone use a spoon the other day, and I like the effect of it just kind of being, you know, sprinkled on. And then I'm going to use this infant syringe to get the yellow out. This is food coloring with vinegar. I used about a half a tablespoon of yellow, and yes, like just a smidge of vinegar, and I'm going to do the yellow first. Now, yellow and blue, as we all know, make green, so it could just all end up looking green, the splotches, which is fine because I am a big fan of green, but we're gonna give it a try and see what happens. So cross your fingers, everybody. I'm gonna get some yellow, and I'm just gonna start dripping in little dots across the yarn. And I kind of want both of the skeins to be kind of similar. Now I know they're not going to be perfect, but it would be cool to have them look kind of alike. So I think like up towards the top, and you can see it does have some green, but you can tell like it's also got yellow in it. So that's really cool. I'm going to add some up here, up towards the top. Okay. And maybe I'll put some down here a little bit, just some drops. And remember, we got to do both sides of the yarn. We can't just do one side. So we got to keep that in mind. Even though I have this opened up pretty well, it's still not going to get all the areas without flipping it. Okay, so we got some yellow. Let me do just a tad more. I'm going to kind of put my syringe in the yarn a little bit just to get some of those spots inside. Okay. Is it looking good? I don't know. I'm just experimenting, you know? So now I am going to add some speckles. And I think I'm going to add some speckles in this area and maybe on top of the yellow a little bit. So I am going to, probably should get a bowl and put the powder in it. Now, I'm not sure like how refined these speckles are going to look because the yarn is pretty damp and it might just spread, and that's okay. I'll just, maybe I should sprinkle it. I don't know. I'll take a little bit in my spoon. And I'm just gonna this works pretty well, as long as you have a little at a time. And again, you don't need the vinegar for this part because there's citric acid in the Kool-Aid. So, whoa, that's too much. Whoops. I want to make a hot mess. Not paying attention. That's a lot. Okay. And I'll just put a few down here. A little goes a long way, it seems. All right, and I think we're good with the purple. I'm gonna get another bowl for the red. This might be a hot mess, but we will find out. Okay, and this might just end up purple because it's red. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit up at the top. And then I'll sprinkle a little, whoa. Maybe using my hands would have been a better idea because then I could have controlled the spill a little bit better. Oh, what a mess. I'll just use less speckle on the other side and maybe that will balance it out. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes. Ooh, it looks crazy in the viewfinder as well. I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes and then we will come back and see, we'll flip it over and do the other side. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, so I am going to take this yarn and very gently attempt to turn it over. Oh, that was pretty smooth. Open it up a little bit. I don't want to squish it too much because I don't want the speckles to all be smeared. I mean, I know some probably will. I am getting a steam pan, so when I do get my acid dyes, I'll be able to speckle in the steam pan and it'll set better. Oh, oh, okay. When I do that part, so I'm gonna open this up a little bit. Okay, so then I'm gonna mimic kind of what we did the first time. I'm going to start with some of this yellow. I'm just gonna start to dot it up here. And some of the dye did go to the other side a little bit, so that's good. Put some over here. And put some down here. I kind of see the other side, so I kind of know where I was. Okay. Looks like, I think that's really it. Okay. And then I am going to start with the speckling. So let's start with purple. I'm gonna try to go a little lighter this time, and if I can. Maybe I just need less on my spoon at a time. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some down here. Okay. Let's put a little more over here. And then I'm going to move to the red. So I am doing a little bit less on this side just to maybe balance it out a little bit with the amount of speckles I have on the other side. I know I have some red down here. One little bit more right here. All right, now I think that is good. I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes and then I'm gonna roll it up and we're gonna put it in the microwave. But I want those speckles to kind of sit for a minute before I do all that. And I will be right back. Okay, it's been about like 7 minutes, but I think we are fine. I'm gonna tuck these in. I'm gonna roll this like a jelly roll very carefully. And seal that. Right, and I'm gonna get my plate, put it on the plate like so, and I'm going to stick it in the microwave 2 minutes and then flip it and then 2 more minutes. So I will catch you back when I am done. Okay, while this was cooking, I cleaned up the kitchen a little bit and I turned on the microwave for 2 minutes and then I flipped the jelly roll of yarn over and I cooked it for another 2 minutes, so it's pretty hot. You can kind of see the speckles in there, so I don't know how effective it's gonna be, but we'll find out. You definitely see the yellow. I'm gonna let this cool completely in this jelly roll because the steam is gonna help set all of the color. We really don't want a lot of bleeding. So I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna do my best to be patient, and when it is all cool, I will come back and we will wash it. Okay, it has been a bit. This yarn is cooled off. So I am going to take the wrapping off of it. Okay, it is time to wash. So I have taken this roasting pan and put it in my sink. It actually fits my sink perfectly. Like it floats right on top of the sink countertop. And I am going to now wash this yarn with some clear dish soap and kind of, it's gonna be loud. I'm gonna pause the video while I run the water. Okay, I put the soap in the water. It's kind of like lukewarm. And I am going to put the yarn in here and press it gently. I don't know if there will be any bleeding. I hope not too much. but you never know. I don't see any yet, so I'm just gonna, I don't want to put too much friction in the yarn because I don't want it to felt. I don't think it will, but just in case, I'm just gonna wring it out a little bit and then grab the other string. Oh, they're heavy. Okay. So I'm just gonna squeeze it like this. And then I'm gonna dump the water and I'm gonna keep going, and I will be back once it's all washed. Okay, I have washed all of the yarn. There was actually no bleeding at all that I noticed. The yarn looks really awesome. I'm very excited. So the next step is to hang it up to dry. And once it's dry, I will put it in a hank and I will show it off. But it's going to take a while, I'm sure. Luckily, it's kind of dry and warm outside, so I'll probably hang it out on the drying rack outside. Okay, the great thing about Florida is that it's hot outside and yarn dries pretty fast. And I am not the best hank winder, but here is our finished yarn. It looks beautiful to me. I think that the colors weren't as extreme as I was worried that they would be. There is still some speckles, and you can still see the different hints of blue. There's even some white in there, which I wanted and I was worried I wouldn't get, and you can see the yellow. Overall, I am really pleased with how my first hand-dyed yarn worked out, and I can't wait to do more. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel to see my future dyeing videos and my knitting videos. Please send me a comment if you'd like, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!